So this is mission number 3, the Ghosts, which is actually an interesting one because it has an actual boss with a couple of boss mechanics a little bit. So I figured I'd include a commentary with this one because some people might struggle with the boss or something like that. Whereas the 2 prior missions haven't had like an actual boss per se. So this start section, we're just going to take the Shrieker first. That's what I done. I just obviously just shoulder charge over there, took the Shrieker out first, and then I can deal with the Hive Guardian. You've actually got to clear those 2 enemy combatants out. Well, at least the Hive Guardian, I believe, to get past this section in the cave. There's multiple parts where you can actually put banners in, so spam heavy by all means. I barely did. I used it when I needed to, but didn't use that much heavy. But obviously you can, and it gives you your super back, etc. So there's not much to this. You're just obviously following the route. Can be confusing on which route to take at times with Ghosts, I'll be honest, especially if you haven't done it for a bit. I could have put a banner in right there if you notice, so if you want to put a banner in, you can. So how I do this little section is you want to prioritize spawn killing one of the Hive Guardians. They're both solar, these. They're actually quite rare. You don't fight many of these. So you want to make sure that you've got your damaging as the Guardian spawn in. So that way the Guardian won't pop a super, which can do good bit of damage to you. Just be careful of Thrall and stuff. Obviously, as soon as you get that finish kill, you need to back right up. There'll be another Hive Guardian, obviously solar one, a Blade Barrage type one, at the back of the map as well, usually top right of the map. But what you can do is literally just sit in cover and have the storm do most of your damage, especially if the Hive Guardian's enraged in the super, because it does a lot of damage to you. I've saved super as well anyways. You can actually super the Guardian. I'm going to super here instead. It's just optimizing a little bit just so I can spawn kill all these enemies a little bit better. The Scorn sort of spawn trap them. There's another section. Actually, no, you can't put your banner in before the tank. I don't believe you can. This is the route that I take. As I said, it can be confusing if you haven't ran it for a bit. I just literally shoulder charge up to this pillar here. Obviously, on other classes, you struggle to do that. And then just loop round. So this is the tank section, right? The Scorn tank. I don't believe there's an option for a banner right there. So what I like to do is prioritize some of the ads first, because once you start doing too much damage, well, not too much, but you'll the tank will obviously put up a shield, right? Obviously they're different to the Cabal style tanks. That solar attack as well is deadly. You need to make sure that you avoid that, right? It's not like you're just in some sort of strike. You are going to get hit hard with it. There'll be a second wave of enemies eventually once the tank's HP is depleted so far. Might be less than a third, something like that. You'll get a lot more crit damage as well when the tank opens up its core, so make sure that you prioritize your linear. I would recommend using a linear on this. We've been using that anyways, really, but it helps out for the tank section because tank is has a lot of health. Pretty weak from these ads here. Actually super weak there. We've got actually sort of walked into a nade, so I was kind of like bad positioning there. Tank is literally one shot. So we'll just exhaust your entire heavy, because you don't need your heavy too much for a while, right? Because a lot of it's running to this area, running to that area, and the glaive, the storm grenades, and your auto does everything. So spam all your heavy on that tank, don't worry about it. And again, you built a banner. That's the thing with these missions, is that you can use a banner. So we're going to go to the right at the back of the map. The only key target you need to take out is the Void Captain. Right. If you're not confident with that, just take the remainder ads before that, then take the Captain. Then obviously shoot the crystal, and then you can proceed to the next section. This mission's it's a cool mission, more so for the boss, because the boss is being ripped out of from a secret exotic mission called Presage that's been sunset, which is unfortunate because it was one of the best missions in the game. On very similar caliber to 0 Hour and the Whisper mission. Maybe not as good as those two, although it has its strengths. I've got a lot of lore surrounding it. The exotic was crazy good. Dead Man's Tale. But that boss anyways from that mission is in this one, which I don't know if it's the exact same name, but it's the same style of boss. So this little section here, you just, again, it's priority targets. Remember, there's sometimes for CPs when you're doing areas, sometimes it's percentage based on enemies, sometimes it's just the key target. So right now it literally is just the 2 chieftains. So I'm going to Thundercrash one of them, the last one, shoot each crystal, get the final crystal, and then just go down the tube. Be careful of this drop. It can actually ruin your solar flawless if you're going for solar flawless on all missions. That can actually ruin you. So do a guard with the glaive just to be safe, and cancel your jump about halfway down so you don't take as much fall damage, if any. So this is just teaching you now. We're actually at the boss already. This is just teaching you how it works for the boss. It's obviously just key priority targets and shoot crystals, but it's kind of a troll a little bit, because when you first run through it, you expect to do boss damage, but the boss is immune right off the bat, and you go down another level and repeat what we're just doing now, but the layout's a little bit different. It's actually a little bit easier on the bottom floor. The layout's easier, but the boss is a constant threat, and there's more enemies on floor 2. Floor 1 ain't so bad, so it's just a case of going to all the sides and killing your chieftain. They're all going to have different shields, but as I've said in previous videos, match game isn't on. We actually took self-inflicted damage from a storm there, so that was actually my bad. That wasn't the game, that was me. Either that or the storm was hit on something, on part of the environment. There'll be a couple of ads spawn in the middle. You don't need to kill those really, per se, because as soon as we'll get this third chieftain, you shoot that crystal in mid, and that'll make the boss immune. I'm getting some frame rate issues. I don't know if anyone else is having frame rate issues with this particular gun, Storm Silver, on console. Let me know. I'm having issues a little bit when I'm doing some sustained fire with it, and it's not me or my platform or anything, because I'm not having any frame rate issues with any other gun apart from Storm Silver. So I believe it to be specific to the gun. I'm just wondering if anyone else experienced that. Okay, so we shoot the final crystal, and then we'll get to actually damaging the boss on the next phase. The boss goes immune, so you always see people use like a T-crash on the boss on plate 1, and the boss is like immune, so it's like, it's not boss damage yet. It will be on the next floor. Layout's a little different, but same concept. 3 corners of the room, 3 symbols. That's how you'll know that there's a VIP target, because the symbols. Once the VIP target and crystal is taken care of, that symbol for that side goes, so you can sort of know what side you've already taken. But obviously it's super obvious anywhere. So this little section can be awkward as well on where you go, but you need the deep. This is when you start using deep sight in the missions, right? Actually, we did use it on the first one, but not so much. This is just the route I take, so just follow the route on screen, literally. So this is phase. This is the actual boss now. So the first phase of damage, you won't need to go to any corner. There'll be a chieftain spawning middle. So take care of the chieftain in middle, and then the crystal. When you shoot that crystal, obviously the boss's shield will immediately go down. I'm going to take care of some of the ads in middle, because it'll give you some respite for later. Keep on top of your ads in middle. There's no need to like leave a load up, because this floor is a little bit more condensed to the previous one, and where the chieftains are, there's a little bit of cover, but I mean there's quite a bit of cover, but the boss can push up to where you are and stuff like that. and ads can push round the corner and stuff. Any side you want to take, it doesn't matter. Any side. There's no like order. It would make it more difficult if there was an order and you had to go to a certain side, but you don't have to do that. So you make use of your Seismic Strike, blind the chieftains, lead with a storm grenade, do things like that. If you get hit hard, guard with your glaive, and you can't really go wrong. For damage, the linear isn't that useful because the boss pushes up so quite hard on you. You know, so I don't really use it much heavy. You don't need to. The boss isn't really tanky at all. So we got one storm, massive damage with the glaive there. We've got unstoppable force on, plus the lightning. That actually, not the storm. Sorry, that actually does one phase of damage there. So we're now on final phase. If you have started to damage on a corner of the map, a chieftain's going to spawn on top of your head. So you've got to be careful of that. You could be weak, obviously from your boss DPS. So just be careful of the chieftain when you get on that final phase. So it's just rinse and repeat really. Take care of ads in middle because as I say that's less damage you're going to deal with when you're going between area to area and you should be fine. The biggest thing about it is seeing where you're going, especially in these little zones here. You can shoot those little things on the wall that gives you sort of some lighting. But for the most part, you don't really need to sort of concentrate too much on that. Just concentrate on getting each chieftain down. And if you can wait out a super, that's also useful. You know, because one super does just about a third damage almost with T-Crash. So I have super now, so we'll be able to use that. Just going to reload here. Take down the final crystal, storm plus super, and then that's basically the ghost mission done for the soul flowers. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.
It felt just as powerful. What are we dealing with here?
I wouldn't stick around to find out if I were you. Grab Sagira and go, okay?